What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you something quite a bit different from my normal stuff in the sense that it's really just me kind of talking about my experiences with Minecraft of all things as I've been playing it with my son over the summer. And obviously I had some feelings about that and thought it might be worth sharing. But a couple of things right away. You can probably just listen to this, to be honest with you. I might gather some very generic B-roll for the sake of the video, but there's really nothing that's going to be so terribly important as to be necessary viewing on screen, and the other being a bit of background information. So I put out a video towards like the end of May, I think it was, talking about kind of what I had going on over the summer, and I talked about how things would be a little bit slow because my son is in school these days, and so I gotta do fun stuff during the summer when he is not in school and I actually have time to do so. So I've been honestly playing a lot less video games for the channel, despite it, being my job. I would say I've been probably averaging like 20-ish hours less over the last couple months, mostly just focusing on easy things to, of course, keep the channel moving and whatnot, but I've been using all of that sort of reclaimed time to do, of course, fun things with my son. And while we've been up to a lot of stuff, the main thing he really wants us to do together is play Minecraft, which is obviously what this video is about. But right now, my son is basically into two things, Legos and Minecraft. And much to his enjoyment, there's plenty of crossover there, so he's got a lot of Minecraft Legos, and he's really enjoying Minecraft. But there's really been like a big difference over the summer in the sense that previously, especially before school and everything, he would mostly play in like creative mode, just kind of building and messing around with stuff, doing things he's seen elsewhere, and occasionally would jump in and do that together, and he'd show me stuff he's built, that kind of thing. But this summer has been quite a bit different because he's actually, especially now that, he can properly read and write, which, by the way, Minecraft was actually pretty helpful with. I really used his interest in Minecraft to, push him to learn the words of all the stuff he was building and obviously read the screen so he didn't have to ask for help as much. In addition to like all the, typical stuff like flashcards and things I would sit down and do with him at night, but that's a whole different story. So point being, this summer he's really been into survival mode, which is obviously a little more, heavy on the gameplay side of things as it actually requires you to gather resources, potentially fight off monsters if you don't have it on peaceful mode, and you even have to respect the laws of gravity a bit more. Now, I would assume there's a couple reasons for this. He's looking for a little bit more of a challenge now that he understands a lot more of the game mechanics. He's also really into like building stuff he sees in like YouTube videos or he hears other kids talk about, that kind of thing. He really kind of wants to see how it all works, and that's really fun for me because, truth be told, I never played a lot of Minecraft. In fact, I would say Minecraft was really starting to get popular like right as I was leaving high school. So it was kind of one of those things that kind of just missed me by a little bit. And while I was obviously very aware of what it was and everything, I hadn't really played it much. So in many ways, my learning curve with this has been alongside my son's learning curve. And that's been really fun for me, especially because, as I mentioned in my review of Final Fantasy XII a few weeks ago, playing that game with my dad was a really big deal to me. And so getting an opportunity to support my son's interests in this way is obviously a huge deal to me. But it's made for some especially interesting experiences that, obviously I am very late to, and I have actually seen people express here and there, which I want to touch on at least a little bit in this video. But one of the big things right away is just how much better we've gotten at it together. So when we first started, especially when I had just bought it for him, I kind of just had to keep Googling things because I didn't know how a lot of stuff worked, and obviously he wanted to know, and there was that. But these days, now that we're on, survival and stuff, and we play pretty regularly, I would say 3 or 4 times a week maybe, we would go from, kind of being a little bit lost and just trying to make sense of the individual worlds we found ourselves in. But these days you can drop us both into a sort of newly seeded world, and within like an hour we've got a full house built, we've got iron armor from going and mining it everywhere. And I would say the really key driver there, for me at least, was learning the sort of individual geological features of each biome you find yourself in, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but just kind of learning where you are most likely to find things like coal and iron to, get your resources pumping on that mode is honestly pretty fun. It's a pretty good gameplay loop, and it really made me appreciate why people have enjoyed this game so much. And that's before you even start talking about like the villages and stuff. Now, for a while there, what my son actually really enjoyed doing was trying to find a village just to like pilfer everything they had so we didn't have to go find it ourselves. And he even came up with some pretty creative ways to get rid of iron golems by, kind of just killing them from out of their reach, which was fun for me because I might have actually just witnessed his first attempt to cheese a video game, which was funny. But one thing I quickly realized while we were, going through the game and having all these experiences together was that I don't think Minecraft is a game I could play by myself. And that is interesting as a guy who almost entirely plays single-player RPGs for a living. Especially since we tend to play split screen on a Nintendo Switch in my living room. So I also have it on his PC that I built him. But it's honestly just more convenient for us to play split-screen multiplayer in the living room. And I mention that because something about the way Minecraft does split-screen, just really gives me a headache from the field of view. And, I know you can adjust it, but it's more about, the way the screen gets squashed more than anything else. And, 30-40 minutes is about all I can take in a single go before it starts making me nauseous. Powering through that feeling aside, though, the reason I say I don't think I could really play this game solo is, honestly, it just really bums me out. And I do want to sort of interject here at this particular moment. I have seen people express this sentiment before. I didn't really know what they were talking about, but I've seen a lot of videos on the subject, that kind of thing. I am not claiming this is original in some way, just to be clear, but I have seen people express the sentiment that Minecraft is like this kind of lonely, bleak experience at times. And I kind of just wanted to reiterate that specifically because even in moments when I'm playing with my son or, when I would just play it a little bit by myself so I didn't look like a complete idiot in front of my kid, Minecraft really has these moments where you're just kind of wandering around what effectively feels like an empty world, even when you have things like the villagers around, because the villagers are so almost alien to what you would expect from even the way your own character looks and operates that they don't exactly feel like a good stand-in in terms of how the world is expressed. And then the fact that these monsters come and go. The Nether itself is like this weird, dreary place. And all of that kind of just lends to this feeling that you're very much alone in this very large world, and the most you can do is sort of fight back the entropy of the place by, making your shelters and all of this. But even that kind of winds up feeling a little desolate because there's not anything to do beyond what you specifically have to do. And that's an interesting feeling to get from something that is otherwise this really impressive creative playground for something like my son especially to express some creativity in. And that's before we even get talking about how the sort of just base soundtrack of this game is really something that kind of plays into that. It's I don't really talk about music very much generally, but basically the soundtrack of this game also bums me out. And when you combine those two things together and playing Minecraft by yourself, it's just, geez, man. Sometimes it hits me with just this intense feeling of, I guess, just straight up sadness. And that's a really weird juxtaposition to have when I'm playing multiplayer with my son and we're having a great time and we're doing all this stuff. We've built countless houses together at this point. We did a castle with some towers and stuff one time. We've done secret bunkers, cave houses, mushroom houses, tree houses, you name it, we've built it. And he's learning all this stuff. And lately his big thing has been making farms and stuff. And he's kind of learning how to do the seeds and the water setups to match some of the more intricate things he's seen on YouTube here and there, that kind of thing. But playing with him and watching his little gears turning as he puts the pieces together and has this great experience with me is a blast. Couldn't recommend something like that more, especially obviously if you have kids. And yet I have simultaneously never had a game that I wanted to play by myself less than Minecraft. But I guess that's kind of all I really wanted to say in the end. I just had this weird experience with Minecraft I wanted to share, I suppose, where playing it in multiplayer with my son and, doing all these fun things with him and watching him grow and learn is this really, really cathartic, fun thing to do. And yet the single player version of that exact same game is so soul crushing that just getting the footage to make this video is a real bummer. But despite those extremes, I'm still obviously glad I bought it for my son. It's honestly been worth every dollar I paid for it twice across 2 different systems. But that's pretty much going to do it. That's really kind of all I had for this video. I just kind of wanted to share this very odd experience I've been having with a very popular game I never played when it was at the height of its popularity. And while maybe not necessarily for the intended reasons, it was certainly a memorable experience at the very least. And so, hopefully you got something out of that, I guess. Videos like this are weird. They're very different from what I normally do. And if there's one thing the YouTube algorithm doesn't really enjoy all the time, it's different from what you usually do. So maybe this will do well, maybe it won't, I don't know. But if you enjoyed this or you have anything you want to share, by all means, drop it down in the comment section below, which of course means to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.